The rain started just as I stepped out of the subway station. It wasn't the gentle kind of rain that people romanticize in movies. This rain was cold, sharp, and relentless. Within seconds, my jacket was soaked. I pulled my hood up and hurried down the dim street toward my apartment building. That's when I noticed her. A woman was standing under a flickering streetlight across the road. She wasn't moving. Just staring. At me. At first, I thought maybe she was waiting for someone. But as I walked closer, I realized something strange. She looked shocked. Like she had just seen a ghost. I slowed down. She suddenly stepped forward. "You," she whispered. Her voice trembled. I glanced behind me, assuming she must be talking to someone else. But the street was empty. Her eyes widened. "You look exactly like her." My stomach tightened. "Like who?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked closer, studying my face like she was trying to confirm something impossible. "My sister," she said quietly. A strange chill ran down my spine. "I'm sorry," I said awkwardly. "You must be mistaken." But she shook her head. "No, it's not just your face." Her voice cracked. "It's your eyes. Your smile. The way you walk." The rain continued pouring around us. Then she said something that made my heart stop. "My sister disappeared 15 years ago." I didn't know what to say. People go missing all the time. It was sad, sure, but why was she telling me? "I hope you find her," I said politely, preparing to leave. But then she stepped closer. Too close. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And the strangest part. I forced a nervous smile. "What?" She stared directly into my eyes. Then she said my name. Daniel. My blood turned cold. I never told her my name. For a moment, I couldn't move. The rain dripped from my hair, sliding down my face, but I barely noticed. "How do you know my name?" I asked. The woman looked just as confused as I felt. "I was hoping you'd tell me that." My mind raced. Maybe she heard someone call me earlier. Maybe she guessed. But something about the way she said it didn't feel like a guess. She slowly reached into her bag. "I need to show you something." Every instinct told me to walk away. But curiosity kept me standing there. She pulled out an old photograph. The edges were worn, like it had been carried around for years. She handed it to me. The moment I looked at it, the world seemed to tilt. It was a photo of a little girl. Maybe 6 or 7 years old. Standing beside the same woman who now stood in front of me. But that wasn't what shocked me. The little girl looked exactly like me. Same eyes. Same smile. Same face. Just younger. My hands started shaking. "That's my sister," the woman said softly. Her name was Lily. I swallowed. This has to be some kind of coincidence. But the woman slowly shook her head. "There's more." She pointed to the back of the photo. "Turn it over." I flipped it. Written in faded ink were 4 words. Daniel, age 7. My breath caught. "I don't understand," I whispered. The woman looked like she was about to cry. "Neither do I." Then she said something even stranger. "My sister disappeared the same day you appeared in this city." For several seconds, neither of us spoke. The rain had finally slowed, but the tension in the air felt heavier than the storm. I kept staring at the photograph. The little girl in the picture looked exactly like me when I was a kid. Not similar. Identical. My heart pounded in my chest. This has to be some kind of mistake, I muttered. The woman crossed her arms nervously. My name is Sarah, she said softly. I looked up. Daniel. I know, she replied. That sentence sent another chill through my body. How? I asked again. She sighed. I told you. I don't know. Sarah pulled out her phone and began scrolling through something. Look. She showed me a news article from years ago. The headline read, Local girl missing, family search continues. Below the headline was a picture. The same little girl. Lily. According to the article, Lily disappeared 15 years ago. She had been playing in a park near their house. When her parents looked away for a few minutes, she was gone. No witnesses. No suspects. No clues. Just gone. I rubbed my temples. This is insane. Sarah nodded slowly. I know how it sounds. But you look exactly like her. People can look alike, I said quickly. But deep down, even I didn't believe that. She studied my face carefully. Daniel, were you adopted? The question hit me like a brick. I froze. I don't know. Sarah's eyes widened. You don't know? My parents died when I was 13, I explained. A car accident. I was raised by my uncle after that. And before that? I hesitated. I never asked. Sarah looked like she had just discovered something important. Daniel, what if you were adopted? That still wouldn't explain this, I said, holding up the photograph. Unless. A disturbing thought crept into my mind. What if someone took Lily? And changed her identity? Sarah stared at me. Neither of us said it out loud. But we were thinking the same thing. Could I actually be Lily? The idea sounded impossible. But the evidence sitting in my hands made it hard to ignore. Sarah suddenly spoke again. There's something else. What? She hesitated. The day Lily disappeared, something strange happened. My stomach tightened. What? My father received a phone call. A phone call? She nodded. Yes. And after that, everything changed. What do you mean? Sarah looked down at the ground. My father refused to talk about Lily ever again. What? He locked all her belongings in the basement. And he told us something strange. What did he say? Her voice dropped to a whisper. He said Lily was never coming back. The next morning, Sarah asked me to come with her to her childhood home. I almost said no. Everything about the situation felt strange. But curiosity wouldn't let me walk away. An hour later, we were standing in front of an old two-story house on the edge of town. This is where we grew up, Sarah said quietly. The house looked abandoned. Paint peeling. Windows dusty. What happened to your parents? I asked. My mother passed away 5 years ago. And my father moved away last year. So the house is empty? She nodded. I still have the key. Sarah unlocked the door. The house smelled like old wood and dust. It felt like time had frozen inside. Family photos still hung on the walls. But something caught my eye. Every photo of Lily was gone. Your father removed them? I asked. Sarah nodded. He couldn't stand looking at them. We walked down a narrow hallway. At the end of it was a door. The basement. Sarah stopped. This is where he kept everything. She slowly turned the handle. The door creaked open. A cold wave of air rushed out. We switched on the light. The basement was filled with boxes. Old toys. Clothes. Books. Memories frozen in time. This was Lily's stuff, Sarah whispered. I picked up a small stuffed bear from a box. Something strange happened. For a split second, I felt something. Like a distant memory trying to surface. Images flashed through my mind. A park. A red balloon. Someone calling my name. I dropped the toy quickly. What's wrong? Sarah asked. I don't know. Then Sarah gasped. Daniel. I turned around. She was staring at something on the wall. I followed her gaze. There was a calendar hanging there. The date circled in red. June 14th. The day Lily disappeared. But that wasn't what shocked us. Under the date were 3 words written in black marker. She isn't Lily. Sarah and I stared at the words on the calendar. She isn't Lily. The message looked old. The ink had faded slightly, but the words were still clear. A cold silence filled the basement. What does that mean? I asked quietly. Sarah shook her head. I don't know, but my father wrote it. You're sure? Yes, she said. I recognize his handwriting. My mind spun with questions. If Lily wasn't Lily, then who was she? And why would her father write something like that? Sarah suddenly started searching through the boxes. There has to be something here, she said. What are you looking for? Anything my father left behind. We spent almost 30 minutes opening dusty boxes. Old clothes. Toys. School drawings. Then Sarah froze. Wait. She pulled a small wooden box from the bottom of a storage crate. It was locked. But the lock looked old and fragile. I picked up a screwdriver from a nearby shelf and gently forced the lock open. The box clicked. Inside were a few papers and a sealed envelope. Sarah's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a letter. Written by her father. She began reading aloud. If you are reading this, it means the truth has finally started to surface. I didn't tell anyone because I was afraid. The night Lily disappeared, she didn't vanish. She was taken. But not by a stranger. I let it happen. Sarah stopped reading. Her face had gone pale. You let it happen? I repeated. She continued reading. A man came to me weeks before that day. He said Lily was special. He said she had something rare in her DNA. Something valuable. At first I thought he was crazy. But then he offered me money. More money than I had ever seen. He said they only needed Lily for a short time. They promised she would come back. Sarah's voice started shaking. I felt my chest tighten. She kept reading. But the night they took her, something went wrong. The man returned the next day. He told me the experiment failed. He said the girl they had now wasn't Lily anymore. Sarah slowly lowered the letter. The basement suddenly felt colder. What experiment? I whispered. Neither of us had the answer. Then Sarah noticed something else in the box. A photograph. But this one was different. It showed a group of men standing outside a large building. Behind them was a sign. Genetech Research Facility. I pointed at one of the men in the photo. Is that your father? Sarah nodded. Yes. Then she pointed to another man standing beside him. Tall. Wearing glasses. Serious expression. I've seen him before, she said. Where? I asked. Sarah looked up slowly. At Lily's birthday party, a few days before she disappeared. My heart started pounding again. What if this man is the one who took her? Sarah stared at the photo. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. I think he still works there. That evening, Sarah and I drove across the city. The address printed on the back of the photo led us to the edge of an industrial district. And there it was. A massive building surrounded by tall fences. The same sign from the photograph still hung above the entrance. Genetech Research Facility. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. You really think the answers are in there? I asked. Sarah nodded. They have to be. The building looked quiet. Too quiet. Most of the lights were off. But a few windows on the upper floors were glowing. Someone's still inside, Sarah whispered. A strange feeling crept over me. Like I had been here before. I shook my head. That's impossible. What? Sarah asked. Nothing. But deep down, something in my mind was waking up. A memory. Something buried. Then we heard something unexpected. A voice behind us. You shouldn't be here. Sarah and I spun around. An older man was standing near the gate. Gray hair. Sharp eyes. He looked directly at me. Not at Sarah. At me. Then he slowly smiled. I was wondering when you'd come back. My heart nearly stopped. Come back? I said. The man nodded. Yes. He stepped closer. And after 15 years, Lily finally returned. The old man's words echoed in my head. Lily finally returned. My chest tightened. I'm not Lily, I said quickly. The man smiled calmly, as if he had heard that sentence many times before. That's what they all say at first. Sarah stepped forward. Who are you? The man adjusted his glasses. My name is Dr. Adrian Keller. Sarah's eyes widened. That name, it was in the photo. He nodded. Yes. My heart began pounding. You were the man who came to her father, I said. Dr. Keller didn't deny it. Instead, he looked directly at me again. You've grown. A strange anger rose inside me. What did you do to her? I demanded. Sarah grabbed my arm before I could step closer. Dr. Keller sighed. It's complicated. Start explaining, Sarah snapped. He looked around nervously. This isn't the place. He unlocked the gate. Come inside. I hesitated. Every instinct told me not to trust him. But if he really knew what happened 15 years ago, he might have the answers. Inside the building, the air smelled like chemicals and metal. The hallways were cold and silent. Dr. Keller led us into a small office. He opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. Inside were several documents. Medical reports. Research notes. And something else. DNA test results. He placed one paper on the desk. This is the test we ran 15 years ago. Then he placed another paper beside it. And this one, we ran last week. Sarah frowned. You tested his DNA without asking? Dr. Keller nodded calmly. Yes. My stomach dropped. How is that even possible? He pointed to a small bandage on my arm. You had a minor accident last week in the subway. I froze. How do you know about that? You were treated at a hospital that works with our research network. Sarah looked at the papers. So what do the results say? Dr. Keller folded his hands. They confirm something extraordinary. My throat felt dry. What? He slid the papers toward us. The DNA matches Lily Morgan. Sarah gasped. I stared at the document. DNA match, 99.98%. My head started spinning. That's impossible, I whispered. Dr. Keller shook his head. No. It's science. Sarah looked at me slowly. Daniel, you really might be Lily. I stood up suddenly. No. There's no way. Dr. Keller didn't argue. Instead, he opened another folder. You deserve to know the truth. He placed a photograph on the table. It showed a laboratory. Machines. Scientists. And a small child sitting in a chair. The child looked terrified. I felt my heart skip. Is that? Yes, he said quietly. That's Lily. Sarah's hands trembled. What did you do to her? Dr. Keller leaned back in his chair. 15 years ago, our research team discovered something rare. What? I asked. A genetic mutation. He looked at me. One that allows extreme cellular adaptation. I frowned. What does that mean? It means the human body can change more easily than normal. Sarah looked horrified. You experimented on a child? Dr. Keller's voice softened. We thought we could cure diseases. Cancer. Genetic disorders. But the experiment didn't go as planned. What happened? I whispered. Dr. Keller slowly exhaled. The mutation reacted unpredictably. He pointed at me. Lily's body began changing. My heart pounded. Changing how? He hesitated. Her biology adapted. Her hormones changed. Even her physical structure began shifting. Sarah covered her mouth. You're saying? Dr. Keller nodded. The experiment altered Lily's development. My mind struggled to process the words. You turned her into a boy. Silence filled the room. Dr. Keller looked down. We didn't mean to. My hands shook. So you erased her identity? We gave her a new life. A new name. Daniel. My vision blurred. Everything I thought I knew about myself suddenly felt like a lie. Then something strange happened. A memory surfaced. A park. A red balloon. A woman calling a name. Lily! My head throbbed. I grabbed the desk. What's happening to me? I whispered. Dr. Keller looked worried. Your memories. They're returning. The room started spinning. Images flashed through my mind like broken pieces of a puzzle finally coming together. A park. Green grass. Children laughing. A red balloon tied around my wrist. And a voice. Soft. Warm. Calling a name. Lily! Come back here! My knees weakened. I grabbed the edge of the desk to stay standing. Sarah rushed to my side. Daniel, are you okay? But something inside me had shifted. The name Daniel suddenly felt distant. Like it belonged to someone else. I remember something, I whispered. Dr. Keller leaned forward. That's normal. Normal? Sarah snapped. You destroyed her life. Dr. Keller didn't respond. Another memory appeared. This one darker. A white room. Bright lights. Machines humming. Men in lab coats watching me. A needle sliding into my arm. I gasped and clutched my head. Stop! Sarah held my shoulders. What do you see? I looked at her with wide eyes. I remember the lab. Dr. Keller slowly nodded. The treatment lasted several months. My chest tightened. You kept me there? We were trying to stabilize the mutation. And when you failed? Dr. Keller hesitated. We had no choice. What choice? Sarah demanded. He looked directly at me. We had to release you. My hands curled into fists. So you just abandoned me? No, he said. We created a new identity. A boy named Daniel. My voice trembled with anger. You erased Lily. Dr. Keller looked regretful. It was the only way to keep you safe. Safe from what? Sarah asked. Dr. Keller's expression suddenly became serious. From the people who funded the experiment. The room went silent. What people? I asked. He sighed. A private organization. They invested millions into our research. And when the mutation succeeded, they wanted to control it. Sarah frowned. Control it for what? Dr. Keller's voice dropped. To create adaptable humans. My stomach twisted. Superhumans. They called it Project Evolution. I stared at him in disbelief. You experimented on a child to create superhumans? He didn't answer. That silence was enough. Then Sarah asked the question that had been hanging in the air since the beginning. What about our father? Dr. Keller looked down. He knew. Sarah's face went pale. What? He accepted the money. For the experiment. Her voice cracked. He sold Lily. Sarah stepped back like the words had physically struck her. No, that's not true. Dr. Keller slowly opened another file. Inside were financial records. Large payments. Millions of dollars. All transferred to one person. Robert Morgan. Sarah's father. Tears filled her eyes. He told us Lily was taken. He told us he spent years searching. Dr. Keller shook his head. He was paid to stay silent. The room felt unbearably heavy. I looked at Sarah. I'm sorry. But she shook her head. No. Her voice trembled with anger. He lied to us our entire lives. Then she looked at Dr. Keller again. So what happened after the experiment? Dr. Keller answered quietly. The investors wanted Lily back. But by then the transformation had already begun. So we hid you, gave you a new identity, and erased all records. My mind raced. Then why tell me the truth now? Dr. Keller looked nervous. Because they found you. My heart skipped. Who? The organization. Sarah looked around the office suddenly. Wait. Where are the other scientists? Dr. Keller's face turned pale. They left months ago. Why? He swallowed hard. Because the investors are reopening the project. Silence fell again. Then suddenly. Bang! A loud crash echoed from the hallway. Sarah jumped. What was that? Dr. Keller looked terrified. They're here. Another loud sound. Footsteps. Heavy boots. Multiple people. Coming closer. Dr. Keller whispered urgently. You need to leave. Now. Why? I asked. Because to them. He looked directly at me. You're not Daniel. You're their most successful experiment.